Now, Frederick Casey Price in this video clip has straight up lied about the complexion of Jesus Christ. And I'm going to show you that here shortly, but I want you to hear what he has to say. And then we'll look at Revelations chapter 1, where the statement of John is made in terms of what he saw when he saw the Messiah, the Mashiach. So let's take a listen to what Frederick Price has to say.
So let's not go to the extreme that white people are devils and they can't be saved. And no, because see, Messiah, everything that I just said, all the historical aspect of Israel and what the Bible actually paints, yes, we should know it. And if we're going to create art, cinema, or anything and present it to the world, then it should be presented the way the Bible presents it, as people of color. But it is irrelevant when it comes to salvation.
Hold on.
Because skin color can't save you, my brother. Black, brown, white, it doesn't matter what color you are. If you reject the Messiah, your eternity it's not going to be too fun. And anyone of any complexion can accept the Messiah.
I absolutely agree with the fact that anyone can accept Messiah. That is, without a doubt, the most truthful statement that he has made within this interview that from this podcast. So that's true. Anyone, whether you are white, pitch black, ruddy brown, light skin like Fred Price Jr., maybe cocoa brown or chocolate milk brown like this brother here that you see on the screen, or like myself, if you can see the image there. Anyone of any complexion can be saved by Mashiach. Salvation is a completely different issue because you do have Hebrew Israelite camps that are completely twisting the scriptures as it relates to salvation, because salvation is not just based on the descendants of Israel, Yisrael. It's not. So I completely agree with that part, and I disagree with Hebrew Israelite camps. Though I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I disagree with Hebrew Israelite camps. But you can't go almost the whole interview stating that the Israelites are dark-skinned because they mix with Hamites, and then give a completely different complexion of the Messiah. Let's continue listening in.
And once we've accepted Christ, now I'm about to, all the new friends that I just made, I'm going to lose them all right now.
Come on, man.
I'm about to lose them all right now.
Yes, sir.
Because with all of the truths and I mean, even with the Messiah, like, again, let's stop making them white, because that's not Jesus. That image that we see, that's Semiramis and Nimrod's son Tammuz. That's the theosophical ascension master Serapis Bey. That's the Celtic sun god Lu. Look up the Celtic sun god Lu. Tell me he don't look like white Jesus.
Ooh.
That's Cesare Borgia. That's who that is. That's not Jesus. If we wanted to come up with a complexion for Jesus, all we have to do is come up with a complexion for Adam, because Jesus is the last Adam. Now, the response to whitewashing cannot be blackwashing. You can't make everything pitch black.
Now, no one's making everything pitch black. And it's interesting that he tries to make Hebrew Israelite doctrine, what they say about the color of the Messiah being pitch black. that it's wrong. That's basically what he says here, is that you can't make everything pitch black. The Israelites range from the shades, the various shades of melanin. And I don't like calling it black. I don't like calling it brown, though it is brown. Let's just call it melanin. And unfortunately for white folks, they don't have it. They just don't. And I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the reality. The point is that every tribe mentioned in the Bible, including Japheth's descendants, before white complexion came on the scene some 4,000 to 6,000 years ago, everyone was brown. All the sons of Noah had melanin, dark skin. Don't blame it on the climate, because you have pitch black people living in cold climates today. So don't blame it on the climate. The only scientific fact is the amount of melanin you have in your genes. That determines the darker your skin is going to be. That's the only scientific fact. And so white folks deserve salvation. People of high levels of melanin deserve salvation. People of low levels of melanin deserve salvation. It doesn't, what you look like does not matter. What's on the inside of you does matter. However, we cannot ignore who the descendants of the ancient Israelites are. And we can't ignore it because Christianity has caused you to believe a lie. Conservative Christianity, Protestant Christianity, they have caused you to believe a lie as it relates to who the descendants of Israel are.
That's not the response. No, again, going back to calling a spade, the Bible says Adam was made from the dust of the earth and he was reddish. He probably looked like a dark Native American. That was probably his complexion. If we go to Revelation 1, where it says he has woolly hair and feet of brass, literally the Greek says burnished burnished copper.
Now, one, the Greek doesn't say that. That's number one. Number two, he said they probably look like dark Native Americans. Now, he keeps saying dark Native Americans, and I guess that depends on how you define dark with your eyes. That's how you define dark. So he's pretty much left an open theory, an open idea. He doesn't want to be specific. He's just stringing you along by just saying dark. But though you can't make everything pitch black. But anyway, now Adam, the Hebrew term Adam or Adumah or Edom, they're all the same form of the Hebrew word. And I'm not talking about terms of Masoretic pointing, the vowel pointings that you find under the Hebrew uh, alphabets or consonants. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Adam, Adumah, which is the feminine form of the noun Adam, and Edom. They're all the same spelling, period. And it means red brown or ruddy brown. Basically, ruddy looks like this. Let me show you here. This is what ruddy looks like. Obviously, this is pretty dark. It's a reddish kind of brown. That's what ruddy looks like. If you look at my image here, that's the color of my image. Ruddy brown. So if you're talking about the Native Americans being dark like that, then yes, that's true, because you have to go into the historical facts about who the actual Native Americans are. Now, let's go to Revelations, and let's deal with the copper statement. We're going to read in Revelations 1, going all the way down. And it says, I was in the spirit on the Lord's day and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet. He didn't say his voice was a trumpet. He said his voice sounded like a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what you see, write in a book. So we have in the book of Revelations what John saw and what he heard. In fact, he's just giving you all the detail. Verse 12, and I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. 7 golden candlesticks. He's talking about the 7-branch menorah. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man. And it should be the son of a man, because the Greek term is singular. Clothed with a garment down to the foot. This is the level of detail that he's providing us, which he saw. He saw a person that had a voice that sounded like a trumpet. He was a man, and he was clothed with the garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. So he had a golden girdle around his waist. His head and hairs were white like wool. White like wool. Whatever white wool looks like, that is what his hair looked like. As white as snow. So he's giving you an extra layer of how pure the white was. It was white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. It was as a flame of fire. So he didn't have eyes that had flames coming out of it. He's talking about the color of the flame of fire. So it most likely was a glowing red. So that's what his eyes look like. Now, his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. It's past tense. And his voice as the sound of many waters. Now, this is my translation of verse 15. and his feet like to refined brass. How do you refine brass? You have to start by putting the brass into the furnace. It says, as having been burned in a furnace. So this is the process after the brass has been smelted, poured in a mold, and cooled down. Because once it's cooled down, that's when you see that it has been burned. ED, past tense. And it can't be talking about the process of polishing the brass. Because once you polish the brass, you are taking away the burned look. Now you are polishing it to make it shiny. So he can't be talking about the process of polished brass, and he can't be talking about the process before the brass is put into the furnace, and he can't be talking about the process as the brass is smelting inside the furnace. That glowing look that you would see as the brass is melting down. He can't be talking about that. He has to be talking about the process of once the brass is poured into its mold and cooled down. That is the only time the brass looks like it is burnt. And that's what John saw. That's exactly what John saw. So let me show you a video of that process.
First, we need some specialized scientific equipment to crush down the cup, innit? You done know, fam. And after that, we're just gonna chop it up a little bit and then slap it into the furnace and that, fam. So obviously we've got the little water pump to keep the machine cool and that. Then we're gonna bust on the power and that, you done know, fam. So obviously copper melts at 1085 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than lava and that, innit? And if you leave copper outside in the elements, yeah, it actually turns green and that. That's why the Statue of Liberty is green, because it reacts with the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the air and it forms copper carbonate and copper hydroxide and that, innit? It's a mad thing, cuzzy. So obviously now, yeah, we're gonna pour it into the molds and that, you know what I'm saying? Orange settings, brothers, bare hot and that, fam. Obviously it looks bare black and that, cause when you heat up copper, it reacts with oxygen to form a black copper oxide layer on the surface, innit? You're done know, fam. To stop the copper oxide layer from forming, you can sprinkle a little bit of carbon or borax in there when you're melting, innit? So obviously
Now, as I said, Revelation 1:15 is talking about past tense. And his feet is like to refine brass as if burned in a furnace. Well, if is not in the Greek text. If is not in the Greek text. Because the Greek word, which is here, is perfect passive participle. Perfect meaning past tense, passive meaning the verb, the action of the verb, the subject is affected by the action of this verb. The subject would be the feet, because the feet, podis, right here, where you see highlighted yellow, is nominative, which means that it is the subject. So it is the subject of this verb, and this verb means as having been burned. That's what this verb means. This Greek verb here, that's what it means. Not as if they burned in a furnace, not as if, because if does not belong there. If was interjected into this statement. That was the idea of the translator. It's not if. There's no condition about that. There's no condition about the fact that when the smelted brass is melted down and poured in the mold and cool, there's no condition. There's only one effect. It's gonna look burnt, just like you see in the video here. It's gonna look burned. Everything is past tense. So that's what John saw. He saw Jesus's feet that looked like refined brass as having been burned in a furnace. This here in this video that you are looking at is brass that has been burned in a furnace, cooled down, and it looks white. Excuse me, it looks black, dark, pitch black. It does not look like shiny, polished copper. Because in order to get this black, this black chard off, you have to go through another process, which I'm going to show you.
We're going to cool it down in a little bit of water and that, sizzling up, fam. You done know. Then obviously after that, man had to wash it in some acid to get rid of the black copper oxide layer and that, innit? Then we got the shine.
Now, you see, he had to put acid to get that black chard off because this copper was burned in the fire. But you also see that the copper looks like his skin complexion. So it wouldn't even matter. Jesus was a person who was melanated. He had melanin in his skin. And according to this,
sprinkle a little bit of carbon or borax in there when you're melting, innit? So obviously now
he was dark in complexion.